Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to Season 3 of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Kayla Smith, CEO of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L Society, a women's health hub for fertility, hormones, and pregnancy, an integrative, holistic nutritionist, doctor of natural medicine and training, creator of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L method, an infertility warrior, two-time boy mom, and women's health expert. This podcast is for women struggling with infertility, painful periods, terrible PMS, or really just any symptoms of hormone imbalance that they are ready to eliminate for good. Tune in weekly as we interview amazing experts in the field of women's health, breaking down those hormone walls, nerding out on nutrition, and having way too much fun. Whether you're beginning your journey or you've been struggling for years, we're going to finally help you put those pieces of your hormone puzzle back together so that you can get pregnant and eliminate those pesky symptoms for good. Not to mention, stay pregnant, have a healthy super baby, and easy postpartum. Are you ready? This season is packed with even more expert guests, sharing groundbreaking knowledge, giving you that jolt of energy that you so desperately need, sending you lots of virtual hugs, and inspiring you to take your fertility into your own hands and make that baby. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being amazing listeners. So now let's get started on your road to transformation. On today's show, we're talking to Nicola Headley, who has had her own difficult fertility journey. Her experience is what led her to support others with how they're feeling during the emotionally painful time infertility takes over so many different areas of their lives. It affects their mental health, confidence, feelings of self-worth, which is why looking after how you're feeling during this time is so important. Nicola previously worked as a midwife, a health visitor, and birth and trauma specialist. Today's show, we're talking all about miscarriage and pregnancy loss and how to navigate these two things with joy and ease as much as possible, and how to move through them so that you can come out on the other side and be a fertility warrior. Now, let's welcome Nicola to the show. Hey, Nicola, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you today. So let's dive into things. Tell us a little bit more about you and how you started working in fertility and around women's health and with pregnancy, miscarriage and loss.
Yes. So it all really started when I had my own difficult journey to becoming a mum. We were trying for a lot of years. We struggled with early miscarriage, missed miscarriage, secondary infertility. And now I just feel so lucky to have two lovely boys. But, at the time of going through it, I didn't know this was going to be the outcome. I was going through it. I was utterly crushed. It was taking over my entire life. And what I suppose I understand now is that I was holding on to so many emotional blocks about pregnancy and the emotional pain caused by my miscarriages. And, it wasn't until that I got the emotional support that I needed that, everything changed for me, in terms of how I was feeling. I felt that much lighter, almost like you don't know how heavy it is until it's released and you're like, oh wow, I was carrying a lot. I was felt so much stronger, able to be more open with my friends, kind of speak to them about what was going on. And, luckily then pregnancy did happen for us. And that's really what led me to becoming a fertility coach and, even finding out that a fertility coach was a thing, because I had no idea, like the first time around. And also that's, I suppose why I've come to specialize in supporting people after pregnancy loss, because it's really what I needed at the time. And interestingly, when we were trying for our second, that's when I decided to do the fertility coach training. And I just had a miscarriage, so I wasn't in the best place. I really debated whether it was the right time. but I just felt drawn to it, and almost that feeling of I can't not do this. I just feel so
Right.
called. This is the path that I'm meant to be on.
Mm.
And, I'm so glad that I did, because I've been able to feel the power of it from the other side. Because as I was doing the training, I was using all of the tools, using all of the strategies, and I just felt so much freer. And it's, just really good to have been able to see it from that side as well.
I love that. And our stories are so similar. That was me as well. I decided to pursue this career after our own struggles. And then I had a newborn and a 2-year-old, and I was like, I'm going back to school. So I love that.
Wow.
I love that. And how old are your boys?
So Kobe is 5 and Bowen is 2.
Oh, amazing. So we also have 2 boys. We have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah.
Oh,
I love that.
nice. Oh, similar age difference as well.
I love it. Well, I thank you so much for sharing that story. I definitely can relate to that. And today we're going to talk about mental health and kind of why that's so important, and how, miscarriage and pregnancy loss are actually traumas. Like you were saying earlier, it's, we hold that in our bodies, and it can actually, compromise our ability to get pregnant in the future. So let's talk about that. Tell me a little more. Why do you think mental health is such an important piece to this puzzle?
Yeah, I think, it's so important for us to be looking after our mental health all of the time. Of course it is, but particularly when we're dealing with something so challenging, and, like trying to conceive, like after pregnancy loss, because, trying for a baby isn't just about trying for a baby.
Right.
It's the way it takes over every area of our life, our work, our relationships, how we feel about ourselves, everything. And, we feel all of these difficult feelings, all of the overwhelm, feeling lost, feeling angry, feeling lonely. And, it's such a shame we aren't taught very well. I don't know if it's the same over with you, but certainly over here, we're not taught about how to deal with these difficult emotions. So many of us, no one gets a free ride. Everyone goes through something in life, which is challenging. So it's all about kind of how do we really prioritize looking after how we're feeling whilst going through all of this and dealing with these emotions, so that we're in this place where we can feel emotionally strong and emotionally resilient, and deal with the impact infertility has on the rest of our lives and how we're feeling. Because, so often when we go through this, our emotions are at ceiling height, they've got nowhere to go. So then when something happens, like someone says something insensitive, there's a pregnancy announcement, we're already at ceiling height. We've got no reserves, we've got nowhere to go. Whereas when we look after our mental health, our emotional well-being, we're in this stronger place, which means it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt when those things come. When that pregnancy announcement comes, yes, it still stings, it still hurts, but you've got the reserves to be able to deal with the stress, the anxiety, the upset that causes. So when I speak about it, it's more like a bump in the road, so that you're in a better place. You can deal with that thing in a way that's maybe quicker, more effective, and then get back to that place where you want to be.
For sure. And I feel like too, so many times, myself included, we're used to focusing on the physical piece of fertility. Like, what do I need to eat? What do I need to do for stress, for sleep? But we forget that emotional and mental piece. And that's such an important piece. So let's talk about that. If you've had a previous loss, a pregnancy loss or a miscarriage, how do you think we move through that? And do you think that can affect us from being able to get pregnant in the future?
You know what? I think that it has such a massive impact, like I was saying before about my experience, these blocks, because so many of these experiences, they're kind of held in our subconscious. So that part of us that is in charge of 95% of what we do. And the subconscious, it has this one job, which is to keep you safe. And sometimes when we experience loss, that emotional pain that we experience, and then how we then think about a future pregnancy is, there's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. Of course, pregnancy is what we want, the baby is what we want, but also we have this fear now that the miscarriage, pregnancy loss is a thing, and that it's a thing that has happened before. Perhaps it could happen again. So, of course, we want the pregnancy, but we are also mixed with this fear of another loss. And so that subconscious is there thinking, okay, there is this idea of pregnancy, but there's a lot of fear and anxiety and stress around this idea. So maybe it's somehow dangerous, and it wants to save you that emotional pain. And so it's steering you in this kind of opposite direction. I'm going to keep you safe over here and perhaps keep pregnancy away. Does that make sense?
For sure. For sure. We talk about that a lot on the show. You know, the
Right.
physical body will actually respond to what the mental body is
Yeah.
telling it. And if it's
Absolutely.
holding on to old traumas or old thoughts and beliefs, it can pause things like reproduction, like digestion, all of that. It's like you're living in this fight or flight. So it
Yeah.
definitely makes sense. And it's so interesting to me because it's like this, there's this whole other world and this whole other body that we're not even taught about, you know, the mental and emotional, spiritual bodies, all of it. And then even going higher into the vital body and the, you know, the bliss body and all of that. So for sure it makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And it's interesting. You're right. I think where most of the people that I see, you know, they've ticked off the other things from the list. They've like eating the right things, doing all of the physical stuff. But I ask on my Instagram, you know, is infertility, is pregnancy loss, is it impacting your mental health? And everyone says yes. But where is the support for that?
Right. So what do we start to do? How do we start to release some of this trauma and some of these old beliefs?
Yes. Yeah. So that is what I do now, what I support people with. And, you know, it's because this is the thing that I found so crucial and such a game changer for me. So it is a lot about, you know, different therapies are right for different people. Of course they are. And so I'm just going to talk about what I do. But it's about processing the experience. You know, we can't change what's happened. We can't erase a memory, but it's about perhaps detaching the overwhelming emotions. There's always going to be sadness attached to the experience. Of course there is, but it's about it not being overwhelming, to kind of deal with some of the trauma responses or trauma symptoms, and to be able to think about what's happened in the past and remember it as something that happened in the past without all the overwhelm attached.
Yeah. And I think too, this is what I teach my clients is, you know, it's okay to feel these thoughts and feelings, but like you're saying, recognizing that this was the past, this is not now, this is not the future. So just because it happened before doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen now or in the future. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Yeah. And I think so often, yes, we carry that with us. This is what happened in the past. We carry that with us now, and we can't see a different outcome in the future. So yes, it's about processing and healing from the past, and so that you can live life in the present and know that what's happened in the past isn't a reflection of the future. The future, another pregnancy gets to have a different outcome.
Exactly. And so how do our partners really support us through this? You know, I feel like a lot of times with pregnancy loss, you know, obviously it takes two to make a baby, but it's the woman's body. So a lot of times I feel like we feel it harder than our partners or our husbands. So how do we talk to our husbands about this support and kind of supporting us through things?
Yeah, that's so important, isn't it? And I think you're right, partners do deal with this type of grief in a very different way. So I think it's really important for them to understand and to kind of communicate this with them, that the physical recovery is often a lot quicker than the emotional recovery. And, you know, there will be ups and downs. There will be triggers that can make us feel like we're right back at day one, right back at square one. Things like pregnancy announcements, friends with babies that were perhaps due at the same time that we should have been due. Maybe even your period arriving, that can be a massive trigger. And so it's useful for them to know what those potential triggers might be so that they can recognize it and support you through it. And I don't want to generalize here, but men are often the fixers, aren't they? They want to make us feel better, or partners, they want to make us feel better. And so it's really important for them to know and be aware that really all we need is their support. They don't need to fix anything. They can't fix anything. They just need to be there. And the key is to listen. You know, such a big one. You know, we always feel like we need to say the right thing when actually all you need to do is be there, listen, hold your hand, to hug you when you're feeling upset. And yeah, that is really the key to feel heard, to feel understood is really the most valuable and healing thing that partners, in fact, anyone around us can do.
For sure. And I think another really important point to add to that is making sure we're communicating with our partners, because our partners are not mind readers. They don't know what to do or say. But if we say like, honey, I need this and I need this now, then it's like black and white. So
yeah, that's something I talk to my clients about all the time. You know, the people around us, sometimes they don't know how to support us. So we really need to let them know, to communicate. And sometimes I speak to people about it, they're like, well, I don't know what I need. It's like, well, how can they possibly know then if you don't know? So I think it's really important to think about, okay, what is it that means I have a better day? What is it that means I'd have not such a good day? And really being able to say to your partner, you know, when you cook dinner, when I'm feeling a bit low, that's really helpful for me. You know, give them something specific, something practical. And I think as well, we can be quite clear about what we don't want from people. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to say this. Whereas actually we need to switch that around, because they could have a long list of things they're not meant to do, not meant to say, but they need something to replace that with. So to have some things that will be helpful, that will be supportive, that they can say or do is really key and really helpful.
For sure. And I think too, another piece of that is really focusing on what brings you joy. You know, if even in the worst situations, there's something that makes you happy and something that brings you joy, whether that's like your favorite coffee or, you know, walking outside in the grass. So I think really focusing on that. So can you talk to me about that for a little bit, or talk to us? How do we really start to experience that joy, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I think, you know, that is really, really key in all of this, that when we're going through something really difficult, to prioritize what it is that helps us feel better. So, you know, because we can spend so much time almost pretending to ourselves that we're okay, pretending to other people. And so, you know, whatever that looks like, whether that is therapy, counselor, therapist, a coach, hypnotherapist, being able to find who that person is that you can talk to. And even like the simplest things, like you just say, going out for a walk. What is it for you that brings you joy? Is it journaling, meditation, yoga, whatever it might be, calling up your best friend for a chat about something completely different? And really, because I think so many of us can say, oh, we're so busy, I don't have time for that stuff, when actually that really has to be at the top of the priority list. I mean, it should be all of the time, but particularly when we're struggling with something this difficult, just to really, you know, prioritize that for a couple of weeks and notice how you feel differently, and then carry on with that, because you will notice a shift in how you're feeling.
For sure. And I love to just every single day, I'm going to do one thing that brings me joy. So it's not like a special occasion, and it can be, like I said, the smallest thing, but definitely sprinkling that into your day to day.
Yeah, perfect. And I think that's true. Sometimes we can see that, oh, I'll do that once the work's done, or I'll do that as a treat for doing all the housework or whatever it might be. Right. When actually let's switch that around and make that the first thing. Bring whatever brings you joy.
For sure. I love it. We are going to take a short break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors. We're going to come back and talk practical tips. How do we walk through pregnancy loss and miscarriage with joy and ease as best we can. So we'll do all that and more when we come back. Hey y'all, it's Coach Kayla here. I hope you are loving this episode as much as I am. We will be back in just a minute, but first, a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Society, a women's health hub for fertility, hormones, and the business of coaching. Whether you're struggling to get pregnant with pesky hormone symptoms, or you're working to build a career in the fertility and women's health space, we have you covered. Visit our website at www.coachkayla.com to learn more on how we can help you. Text the keyword fertility to 615-257-8855 for your free fertility meal plan. Hey, Nicola, welcome back.
Hi.
So let's talk practical tips. What are maybe your top 5 things for navigating this journey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so some practical things. I would say, the best ways to manage stress and these difficult feelings can so often be, actually what I find the most useful thing is definitely journaling, and something I share with my clients. I talk a lot about this. And, it's such an easy way to get all of those thoughts, difficult feelings, the worries, out of our heads and written down. And there's something about seeing it written down, which really helps us see it differently, and perhaps to see a solution, or even just noticing this thought and just seeing it differently, seeing it a different perspective. So journaling is a really, really top tip. Another one is having someone that you can talk to. So, I'm not saying about sharing it with everybody. That's not really what this is about. It's about finding that person who understands, who gets it, who helps you to feel heard, feel understood. And sometimes that person isn't who we expect it to be. We might expect it to be our partner, best friend, our mom. And sometimes that person doesn't have the capacity, for whatever reason, to be that person for you. So it's about finding who that person is, because they will be out there, but they're in your real life, in the online world, but just finding that support from someone who really gets it and understands. Again, as you were saying, Kayla, bringing joy into your life, whatever that looks like, listening to music, going out for a walk, yoga, whatever that is, making that a priority and doing that every day. I also love meditation for this, so it's nice to just have some downtime. We can be so busy all of the time, and we think that helps us. Let's stay busy, let's stay distracted, and really that's only pushing down those difficult feelings, suppressing them, ignoring them. So actually having some downtime, some quiet time, listening to a meditation, guided relaxation, whatever it is, it just gives you that excuse to slow down.
I love that. Yes. Yeah. And that's the other thing with meditation. I feel like, a lot of us are type A, and it took me a long time to realize the benefits of meditation and really enjoy doing it. But it just opens up that whole consciousness that we were talking about and allows us to get into those feelings and emotions and beliefs and start to release them. So that's a really great way to do that. And it can be 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be like your first time, this long meditation where you're like, I can't sit still.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the thing. All of these things, they have to be quick and easy. Otherwise we find excuses. We're too busy, we don't have time. And so just 5 minutes out to write down how you're feeling, or 5 minutes through a guided relaxation, It doesn't have to take forever. It can fit in with your everyday life. And it's important that it does for it to be sustainable and for it to be ongoing. It definitely needs to, be easy and to fit in.
For sure. For sure. I love it. And I completely agree with all of those tips. I think so very important, finding joy, finding your support system, all of that. Amazing. And it's a process, that's why they call it a practice, because you're not going to get there day one. You have to practice and move forward in your grief. So I love that you say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly there will be ups and downs. Of course there will. But it's about the journey and the process, and still doing the good practice and noticing what it is that helps how you're feeling.
For sure. I love it. So tell us where we can find you. Where can we learn more about working with you?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram, of course. I am at Nicola.Headley. So yeah, I'd love people to come and say hi over there. I also have information about my programs that I run and I offer on my website. So that's NicolaHeadley.com. So yeah, come and say hi and drop me a message.
I love it. Oh, well, thank you so much, Nicola, for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been so lovely to speak to you.
Yes, you too. And as we close, I would love just maybe a piece of advice, a word of wisdom, something you want to leave our audience with.
Yes. Yeah. And actually you touched on it a little bit earlier, but one thing that I always share with people is, whatever it is that you're feeling, knowing that your feelings are valid. And I think, sometimes we can be around people who don't really understand why we're feeling the way we're feeling, so we feel like we're wrong for feeling that way. So really just be reassured that whatever you're feeling is okay. And so often we can feel a difficult feeling and it feels uncomfortable, and then we pile on all this other stuff. I shouldn't feel this way. I feel guilty for feeling this way. I'm a bad person for feeling this way. When I would really urge you to just let go of any of those unhelpful thoughts, because it makes a difficult feeling so much worse than it needs to be. That actually, if you can just kind of validate your own feelings and know, yes, it's okay for me to feel this anger. I know it will pass. And it's because what I'm going through is so unfair. Of course, it makes sense that I should feel angry. And just treating yourself with that kindness and compassion that you would show to someone else.
I love that. Amazing. Oh, well, thanks again, Nicola. It's so nice to meet you.
So great to speak to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you, ladies, for listening to the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. Until next time. Bye. Hey, hang on just 1 second before you go. I want to make sure that you are aware of all of the amazing free resources that I have for you on my website at CoachKayla.com. From a fertility meal plan, a cycle syncing quick start guide, a holistic healing cookbook, as well as master classes, blog posts by me and some amazing experts in the fields of fertility, hormones, and nutrition. So many wonderful resources that will help you on your journey. And I wish there had been something like this when I was going through my 2 years of infertility, but there just wasn't. And so that's why I decided to create all of this for you. So make sure that you go and check it out and you take advantage of this plethora of support that I have provided for you. And spoiler alert, these were some of the same tricks and the same foods that I used to get myself pregnant, not once, but twice, even after my doctors said that I couldn't. So I know that these things work. Make sure you take advantage of that. And I cannot wait for you to be my next success story. So thanks, love. See you soon. Thanks for tuning in today to the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. Check out the show notes for today's episode at CoachKayla.com. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week.